Mark continues, the king said to the damsel, ask of me whatsoever you will, and I will give it. Matthew has, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. So this is kind of reiterating what he said. Mark is quoting. I always find it more interesting to have the quotes, but I can still have whereupon he promised with an oath, then, and swore to her, from Mark, and going into the quote, whatsoever you shall ask of me. Yeah, that'll work. Mark 6:22, the king said to the damsel. Oh, wait. This is really weird. Mark has it twice. The king said to the damsel, ask of me whatsoever you will, and I will give it to you. And he swore to her, whatsoever you shall ask of me, I will give it to you, to the half of my kingdom. It's like an exact repeat. Ask of me whatsoever you will. Whatsoever you shall ask of me, I will give it to you. And I will give it to you. Man, that's really weird. You know what? Because it's twice, I think I can tolerate putting it as a statement, mentioning what he said, and then afterwards the quote. And I'm going to replace this he with the king, lowercase k, from Mark. Whereupon, and then I'll go back to Mark. The king said to the damsel, or promised with an oath. Oh, I know what I can do. I can have promised with the oath and swore together. That way, he's saying it, and then he's really doubling down before everyone. Because they're there watching her dance. He's really chaining himself to these words. So I'll put those together. Promised with an oath. And he swore to her. Which means that now I'm just going to put said. Said to the damsel. Ask of me whatsoever you will, and I will give it to you. With an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. The real question is, which of these two statements should the verse in Matthew be combined with? The verse in Matthew goes, promised with an oath. Well, I guess because it's part of the promise, it should go with the second one, because that's where he swears. Whatsoever you shall ask of me. Well, I guess if I have said to the damsel first, I couldn't have the statement, not a quote, be first, and then the quote second. They both have to be quotes if it said at the beginning. I'm thinking of having the second statement be a reiteration, and only the first one be a quote. But I don't know how that would work, because he promised with an oath and swore to her to give her whatsoever she would ask. to the half of my kingdom? No, that wouldn't work. It would have to be to the half of his kingdom. I think we're just going to have 2 quotes like it is in Mark. Yeah. Because there's no he said, his kingdom, he would do. It's all he promised with an oath. That's the only he. Otherwise, it's to give her whatsoever she would ask. All the rest is quotes. I will give it to you. Whatever you ask of me, I will give it to the half of my kingdom. So I can only have 2 quotes. Unless I leave out a lot of words from Mark and just have one of them be a statement, a summary. Yeah, the second one has to be a quote. To the half of my kingdom, because that's included. So that has to be a quote. The first one, ask of me whatsoever you will, and I will give it you. Maybe I could just take the second line from Matthew 14:7, to give her whatsoever she would ask, and just move that before the first line in Matthew 14:7. So that way the promise with an oath is part of the second quote. Yeah, I think that'd be okay. But then I can't have the king said to the damsel. Okay, so if I do that, if I want to have only one quote and this statement, I would have to have whereupon he promised to give her whatsoever she would ask. And then I can save with an oath for swore for the second quote. He swore to her with an oath. Yeah, that's what I can do. So I can start with whereupon the king promised. Which means I can't have said at all. I'm just going to have swore with an oath. I could have the king promised the damsel. You know, I think it's actually more, I don't know, it's more sad if he just starts out by saying, I'll give you whatever you want, and then he really ties himself to it by swearing with an oath. But if it starts out with he promised, and then he swears with an oath, it's kind of like he already took a really high step and then he's going a bit higher. But if you're just saying it, it'd be as if he doesn't really care, but then he backs it up and backs himself into a corner. I want to have just like I said, that he starts out just by saying to her, whatever you want, I'll give it to you, and then he shoots himself in the foot by swearing it. So I'm not going to put promise yet, which means I can't put to give her whatsoever she would ask. I'm going to put 2 quotes. Whereupon the king said to the damsel, ask of me whatsoever you will, and I will give it you. Ask of me whatsoever you will, and I will give it you. Then he promised with an oath. And that has to come next from Mark. And he promised with an oath. No, I have to have another and. And he swore to her and promised with an oath. Yeah, I need another and. And he promised and swore to her with an oath. That's what I want to say. Or, and he swore to her and promised with an oath. But either way, I need two ands. But I really want to leave it as he started just by saying it. And then he swears with an oath. Because I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen where you just say something and someone calls you on it. Or you say something and then people don't believe you, so you back yourself up with strong words. And then you get called on it. Maybe I can save the and just start with, he swore to her. Or maybe he promised, and then over to Mark, he swore to her, and then back to Matthew with an oath. He promised and swore to her. Yeah, okay, that's how I'm going to do it. I can start with he. I'll save the and for later. He promised. So should I say he promised and swore, or he promised and he swore with an oath? I'll put the and he. I'll put the to her first as well. So Mark and he swore to her with an oath. So he promised and he swore to her with an oath. Or I could say that after. He promised and he swore with an oath to her. I don't know. What should it be? He promised and he swore with an oath to her? Or he promised and he swore to her with an oath? I'll leave it as it is. He promised and he swore to her with an oath. Yeah. So now, because it has to add at the end to the half of my kingdom, I can't say to give her whatsoever she would ask. So now it is whatsoever. Whatsoever. Actually, it's both. You shall ask of me. Would ask. I'll put shall, because it's just different enough from will. Will and would is a bit closer than will and shall. Just Mark. You shall, I know that's not in Matthew. Ask of me. Ask is both. Of me is not. Ask then of me, Mark only. I will give it you. Just Mark. I will give. Oh, give is both. It, you. You know, it actually makes more sense to me to not have this it right there. Whatsoever you shall ask of me, I will give you. That fits. If they're going to add it, they might as well add to. Whatsoever you shall ask of me, I will give it to you. But if you're just going to add it, it makes it sound weird. But I'll leave it. I'll leave it. It's not as much of a problem as he was a just man and a holy. That was a problem. The last statement from Mark. To the half of my kingdom. Then that's the end. To the half of my kingdom. you.